All right, y'all, let's get it. We got Trey Lance, practice updates, little struggles in practice number 2. We're going to talk about that. How important is it? Brandon Aiyuk, is this going to be his breakout season, and kind of what to expect from Brandon Aiyuk in his role, and also the 49ers, not just the secondary, the defense as a whole. How good can they be? We're going to talk about all that and more right here on the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Crocker over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crock Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker, and you already know what we're talking about today, man. All things pertaining to the 49ers training camp and some takeaways I have. Some media people, a little overreactions on certain things. I'm like, okay, y'all been waiting for this. Of course, Locked On 49ers. I got my Locked On shirt on today with my co-host, Brian Peacock. We come at you 5 days a week. Make sure y'all tune into that. Also, Locked On NFL Draft. I'm the host of that as well with my guy, Ryan Tracy. Again, 5 days a week. And we did touch on the 49ers. State of the franchise type episode. We've been doing front office Fridays on every Friday. And make sure you check that out. I'll actually be loading that when we get off of here. What else I got going on? I was on Bleacher Report, man. How cool was that? I got a bunch of messages for some of my homies. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I saw my guy Lake City Fresh. He was in there in the Bleacher Report chat. He tweeted at me that he was watching and everything like that, man. That was dope. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, listen, I come on here, I talk to y'all every day now, right? Like during the season, we talk at least 4 days a week, sometimes 5, and clearly this week 5 days. And I'm good. Like, I feel like I'm in my element. I'm good. I understand how everything's going to work, structured. Every once in a while, obviously, like, a technical issue and whatnot. But I'm pretty good with, kind of the setup that we have going on here. And, just being able to converse with y'all, have a conversation with y'all. And that's essentially what it was. But, man, they had me there was all kind of stuff kind of behind the scenes going on there where they have somebody in my ear, like a producer, which I should be used to because I did Locked On NFL Draft in Dallas. We covered the draft live, and it was a panel of us. But it was still different because Bleacher Report, bro, they had me reading something like, they had me reading something on the computer. They're typing to me Lake City Fresh, when he commented, they typed it in on this thing. I could see them typing at that time. So they got that. They also have this other window they want me to control with different tabs I can use and whatnot. And then they're talking to me in my ear. A lot going on. And I'm like, what the hell? And at one point, I almost froze up. I did freeze up, kind of and I'm like, Crocky, you tripping, nigga. Why you freezing up? But I froze up for a quick second because I'm like, what the hell is going on? I know everybody's like, why is this guy sweating so hard? And I'm the king of, I tell my kids, some of my homies, man, you never let people see you sweat, right? And I mean that, not in a literal term, but in a literal term yesterday, I was sweating bullets. I just felt it just shh. And then after about 10 minutes, I settled in. And I'm like, Croc, it's just like the morning show. And I just started answering and firing, answering the questions and everything. And it turned into a good time. But I'm not going to lie. At first, I'm like, this is a disaster. They'll never come back to me. But, I bounced back. You feel me? I bounced back what did Jay-Z said? I bounced back 32. Whatever he said. But, yeah, anyways, I bounced back, in Crocky form, and we were good. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. I'm reading the chat. I see everybody in here. Got the flames going on. Jonathan feeling real good this morning. I don't know how many flames that is. That's at least about 12 flames right there. Everybody feeling good. It's Friday. Sending out a couple of things today. One, we got the person that won the giveaway yesterday. I'll be ordering all that online today, getting that shipped out to him. Also, my guy Williams, I'll be mailing out a book to him. And I talk about, the flames, make sure everybody feeling good, make sure your mental's right. And I think one of the best things about or one of the things I would suggest, right? And I've never dealt with any type of mental, I don't even want to say it like that, like mental issues, like, you know what I'm saying? But I've never dealt with like depression, anxiety. Well, no, actually, I have dealt with anxiety probably yesterday in that first 10 minutes of that Bleacher Report thing. But they're talking to me like, hey, read this something. And I'm like, wait, what do I read? And then like, I'm like, wait, oh, I'm live. Anyways, so I'm pretty sure there was like some anxiety going on yesterday. And that's why I started sweating so hard. But typically, I'm good. I don't stress. I don't deal with anxiety. But, I'm married, going on 7 years now. And my wife definitely does. So I'm kind of aware of it. And one thing I've seen with her is her be aware of where she's at as well. So make sure y'all, you know what I'm saying, know where y'all at mentally, physically. It was Lil Wayne, right? It was Lil Wayne. I don't know why I don't know why I was thinking Jay-Z. I jumped back like 32. Feel me. This is the Carter 2. It was on the Carter 2. Yeah, okay. It was Wheezy. All right, shout out to that chat, man. I got the best people that check in on the YouTube channel in the world, man, for real. I really appreciate all y'all, and we have a good time in here. All right, so let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. San Francisco 49ers training camp recap number 2, and I'm listening to everything. I'm listening to people's takes, and y'all know I like to listen to what they have to say, and I get the pulse of the fan base, and I try to bring that to this show, and we talk about it on here. All right, so Trey Lance struggles in training camp. And my question to a lot of people is, what does that mean? Right? Oh, he struggled in practice. What does it mean to struggle in practice? Let's look up what the root word of practice is. Hold on. Let's look up what is it? The actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method as opposed to the theories related to it. That's not it. The customary, habitual, and expected procedure or way of doing something. Right here. Perform an activity or exercise a skill repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency. Whoo, that's it. Listen, that was off the cusp too. I was not expecting to read any of these, the definition of practice. But that's a good one right there. I'm going to repeat that just in case y'all kind of missed that. Perform an activity or exercise repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency. Essentially meaning you practice to get better. You're doing things in practice to improve. This is not a fucking game. It is not week 1. It's not week 2. It's not the preseason. It is practice. Yesterday, Trey Lance but day 1 of training camp, Trey Lance and Nate Sudfeld combined, they were 20, they completed 20 out of 22 passes or whatever, right? Did we come on here and make any big deal out of it? Did we come on, oh man, Trey Lance 9-4-11, Nate Sudfeld 209 legend, he over there 11-4-11. Like, no, we didn't make no deal. Okay. My thing was usually defense starts faster, right? I've explained that to y'all. I've expressed that to y'all. Usually the defense starts faster. And I was a little surprised to see as much efficiency day 1 from the quarterbacks. But there wasn't this sense of, oh man, like bowling, like these dudes. It's like, no, it's practice. And I'd assume that there's some give and takes from each practice, right? That's what we'd assume. If your quarterbacks are out there just lighting it up, then maybe your secondary sucks. If your quarterbacks have, up and down, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't expect there to be any type of perfect on either side of the field, on either side, especially when it comes to the quarterback. So again, one more time, we're going to read the definition of practice. To perform an activity or exercise a skill repeatedly or regularly in order to improve and maintain one's proficiency. You practice to get better. And without downs, and again, you'll hear people like, I appreciate the struggles in life because it made me who I am today, right? How many of y'all have had to go through some BS, right, in your life, like ups and downs? I'm assuming everyone in this chat, it ain't all, and no pun intended, because I got peachy in the chat right now, but I'm pretty sure everybody's life ain't peachy, right? Like everything just ain't great every step of the way. But I don't know about y'all, but I know in a lot of my shortcomings, a lot of my things where I'm like, ooh, I'm really messed that up. I feel like I learned the most about myself and maybe things I was capable of doing when I bounced back out of that. You know what I'm saying? So I look at Trey Lance, and he probably ain't tripping at, what was it, 7 to 14 or whatever it was yesterday. Like, it's like, bro, like, all right, like, okay, I missed this throw, or okay, I'm trying to make this throw. And that's kind of my struggle with keeping track of training camp practice stats, because what are these guys trying to work on? You know, what is he trying to attempt? Would he attempt this in the game? Right? There's all kind of different things that go into it. Kyle Shanahan still trying to figure out, okay, how do I call plays for Trey Lance? What is he, comfortable with doing? And in the process of that, there will be ups and downs. There's going to be there's going to be days where he does just great, fine, right? And there's going to be other days where it's more like yesterday. And the biggest thing for me is just, how does he bounce back from it? I hate that I'm not out there right now, because I would like to see how did he get to 7 and 15? What was he trying to do? And wherever he maybe missed, right? I heard like threw a slant or something behind somebody, or overshot a guy. Does he improve on those things today? So today, he can go 7 to 15 again, or 7 to 14, whatever it was, right? Like, he could do that again. But if he doesn't make the same mistakes, and I see him complete some of the passes he missed yesterday, but then maybe miss in a different way, I'm fine with that. I am 100% fine with that. It's all about continuing to get better and work on those things. What does he need work on? You got to see it right now in training camp practices. Work to improve on those things. And right now, everybody's going to be at their best. Now, how much of it? And again, here we go. This guy on Twitter, there's some guys on Twitter, I'm not even going to mention them by name. All right. But between them and this other guy I will mention, because he's a mainstream media guy, Colin Cowherd, they cannot wait. They cannot wait for Lance to have any just, this is not, what did he say? Grant Cohn, this is what he says. Grant Cohn, and I was on with Grant Cohn yesterday. We go live on Thursdays. But Grant Cohn was like, or Colin Cowherd was like, Grant Cohn reported, and he's somebody that backs Trey Lance, that Trey Lance had a bad practice, and that's not nothing, right? Like, that's kind of the only part of the clip I saw. I think I saw Grant Cohn post it. Well, Colin Cowherd, I don't know what's going on with him, but he has been on this, I feel like literally every day, he talks about Trey Lance. Every day. Every segment, every day. Maybe it's helping generate clicks. He knows if he talks about him, it's good for his business and everything like that. And from that standpoint, I get it. But every day he's talking about Trey Lance. And he didn't talk about Trey Lance when he was 9-for-11, right? And again, that's not a big deal. Whatever, check downs, whatever he's doing. But just hearing the numbers, 9 of 11, Trey Lance not struggling, he did not report that. But what does he report? Oh, man, he didn't do great. This not good. Trey Lance is not nothing. Blah, 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 blah. And there are people that wait to pounce on people, and it's so odd to me. It's so odd to me. And I think the odd part is because just the way I view it. Let's take Jimmy Garoppolo, for example. When Jimmy G played week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings 2018, and he threw 3 interceptions, 1 pick six, 49ers lose on the road. The sky wasn't falling, in my opinion. It was always about, all right, like, he's still young in this system. He's still young in this offense, figuring it out. So the 49ers, week 2, they play at home against Detroit Lions. I'm at the game. And it still wasn't like a great game. And he threw that pick at the end of the game that damn near could have lost the game for the Niners, but they called holding on the defense away from the throw. And you look at that, and it's just like, all right, like, he's still figuring it out. At no point did I think to just pounce on him and jump on him and just say, you know what, this dude's trash. He just can't be this. He can't be that because of a shortcoming. Like, how fast or how long do people think that, how am I trying to word this? the success that a quarterback has, does it have to be something that's overnight? Or what does the progress of it look like? And for me, I believe that the progress of everyone, it just looks different. Like building up to a guy. Just imagine if Devontae Adams, and he's widely considered the best receiver in the NFL, except for if you're talking to Chris Sims, right? But if people would look at, now let me pull up some stats here. I pulled up a definition of practice. Let me pull up some stats here for y'all. All right, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams' numbers to start his career, they weren't great. Let's read them off here. Devontae Adams' rookie year, 38 receptions, 446 yards. Devontae Adams' second year, 50 receptions, 483 yards, under 10 yards per reception. His third year, just shy of 1,000. Fourth year, just shy of 900. We're talking about, it took until Devontae Adams' fifth season in the NFL to be a 1,300-yard receiver. And he's really only been a 1,000-yard receiver 3 times in his career. He's been 3 yards short twice, though. So, I mean, he's right there on the cusp. I say that to say, the first couple years with Devontae Adams was not great. And I'm pretty sure people would look at that and just be like, oh, man, like. But now he's widely considered the best receiver in the NFL, or at least top 3 on everybody's board except for Chris Sims. So I say all that to say, like, the progression and improvement and figuring out isn't something that happens day one. Now, with the quarterback, it's a little different because how do you figure out a way to kind of work around that, right? And that's what the 49ers are going to have to really dial in on. Okay, what struggles does Trey Lance have? Trey Lance has an immense amount of talent. If he was a quarterback that's struggling, I hate to say he's struggling because he wasn't struggling day one. And day two, there was some misses. Out of some of those, there was some drops. I heard about a beautiful ball down the sideline to Brandon Aiyuk, where he jumps up, he gets the ball in his hands, and then the corner just punches it out, right? So when you see numbers, just completions, incompletions in practice, it doesn't bring any context to it. But I like the fact that multiple times he was pushing the ball down the field. Good. He didn't do a lot of that day one. So what does the progression of Trey Lance look like? Things that he needs to improve on. Right now is the time to do that. So the narrative will be that Trey Lance is quote unquote, or he struggled or whatever. And there's going to be people with the whole confirmation bias thing to where they're going to use that to say, see, I told you. And they always leave out other things. Mac Jones truthers. And again, I am someone who, I actually really like Mac Jones. I just would not have drafted him at number 3 overall. But I really like Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is a good, solid quarterback. Wouldn't draft him over Trey Lance. If there's no Trey Lance, then yes, I have no issues drafting Mac Jones. I like Mac Jones. All right. Actually, if you go back to what I said, pre-draft, and I'll see if I can find this clip, but I was actually bigger on drafting a skill position player at 12, like a Micah Parsons, and then drafting Davis Mills in the second round, even though Davis Mills went third round, but I would have drafted Davis Mills second round. All right. If 49ers are picking at 12, which Davis Mills got a nice little bump of respect from my guy, Greg Cosell. When Greg Cosell says something, I listen. But I've always been really big on what he could be. All right. I thought he was like the perfect developed quarterback, especially you have Jimmy Garoppolo and you get to kind of sit Davis Mills for a year, and then, I really like the thoughts of that. My guy Josh, he says, can't be afraid to fail. And that's the one thing. Listen, we got like changes going on right here in the Crocky household, and can't be afraid to fail. Got to go all in. My wife knows that. Got to be all in. But appreciate the contribution, my guy Josh. Josh in here, man. I like Josh. Good morning to everybody. But yeah, anyways, I just saw something. What I say, excuses. People already making excuses. Okay, here we go. People already making excuses for Trey Lance. It's not an excuse for Trey Lance. That's not what this is. Again, and it just depends on how you view football, it's just how you analyze things, and maybe some people just have a better eye for things than I do. That could be the case, where somebody can just see something once and say that's it. But the way I view guys, and I'm not talking about just Trey Lance, I can be talking about Mac Jones, the guy who who lost 4 out of the last 5 games of the season last season and threw 7 interceptions in those 4 losses, and the only win was against Jacksonville Jaguars. I could say that because of that stretch of football, Mac Jones is ass. But I don't believe that to be the case. I think that he's somebody that'll figure it out. Yesterday, people are going to take what they want, right? I think there was some kind of stretch for Mac Jones yesterday in practice where he completed like 12 straight passes. And it's like, wow, that's very efficient. Now, there's another stretch of practice where he started 0 for 10 in the red zone. 0 for 10 in the red zone. And they didn't score or even complete a pass until the very last play. He completed a pass to, I believe it was the tight end, number 85, Hunter Henry. Right? It's like, Colin Cowherd is not going to talk about that. Or other people aren't going to pick up on that. How he started off hot in practice and he dropped off. And there was a drastic drop-off. But I don't look at it as me making excuses for Mac Jones. I look at it as me saying, Mac Jones is practicing, and he's working on things to improve on. And there's going to be these different things. What are they trying? Would they do half of those plays? Would they call them in the game? After seeing how he runs it in practice, would they go to something else that he's more comfortable with doing? But that's just the way that I view it. That's just the way that I view things. So, I see it right here, and this is probably the biggest thing. Everybody just wants to be right. Let the kid learn. And not just with him, I believe with everybody. Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people are writing him off, and he did struggle. My only pushback with any of the rookie quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, any of them that had their struggles, and they all did. They all did. There's one person that gets on Trey Lance, and he's like, yeah, they should have drafted Justin Fields. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, they should have drafted this guy. They've all struggled. All of them. All of them. Including Mac Jones, who has struggled, but just with a higher completion percentage. All right, here we go. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in to the chat right now. We live right here. You know what it is, San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I appreciate everybody that's in here right now. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're talking about day 2, 49ers training camp. And that brings me to my next topic. We got Brandon Aiyuk. And I'm thinking about, what does the breakout season look like for Brandon Aiyuk? Aiyuk clearly is someone who possesses a lot of talent. All right. And we got Jets gang in here. Hey, Jets gang, I just talked about really not just Trey Lance, but your quarterback as well. But no, there's not trouble in paradise. The crazy thing is with like YouTube algorithm, things like that, to get people to see, you have to put something up there like, oh, Trey Lance struggles in practice. And it's like, motherfucker didn't struggle. He missed some throws. He didn't miss throws first day. He missed some throws second day. But Zach Wilson missed a lot of throws last season. Brandon Aiyuk, the 49ers traded up for him. And I think one thing we need to try to figure out or get to the bottom of, when they drafted Trey Lance, Brandon Aiyuk, when they drafted Brandon Aiyuk, what were the expectations? Because remember, the first season there, 2019, you draft Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, I thought, played very well. And let me start that so I can get back to that. But Deebo Samuel, I thought he played very well, right? But then they go and they trade up for a receiver. And I always thought that was weird, because when you're looking at receivers, depending on what you want this guy to be, do you typically say, you know what, I drafted this guy second round, he balled out, but I'm going to go and draft a guy first round to be the third option. I'm going to go trade up and draft a guy first round to be our wide receiver 2. I don't think so. And I don't think that they expected Deebo Samuel to have the 1,400-yard season that he had. I believe that when they traded up to draft Brandon Aiyuk, they viewed him as a clear upgrade of what they were getting at the receiver position, as opposed to what they had from Deebo Samuel. That's just the way I view it. I think they were like, you know what? He brings this. This is better. They're going to be more consistent, etc. He's going to be a better receiver. And Deebo, we could utilize him in that role, and he's going to be our wide receiver too, etc. Maybe our third option behind George Kittle. And then Deebo goes off. And then Aiyuk, who they've talked about some of his early struggles, right? Not really having OTAs the first year. Second year having OTAs and starting to figure out exactly how and what it means to be a pro. And, how tough that could be on a young guy, really trying to figure it out. And there's been some ups and downs, et cetera, and all those things that Brandon Aiyuk has to work through. But now I look at it like, all right, I do believe that when they drafted him, they were looking at him to be potentially wide receiver 1. That's why you trade up to get him. So what are the expectations for him now? Are we viewing Aiyuk as just a wide receiver 2? And that's all he's going to be, or are we expecting more? And I have heard a lot of people say there's going to be this breakout season, and I want to know, like, what does a breakout year for Brandon Aiyuk look like? Because essentially he was somebody they traded up for in the first round too, but now he's the third option behind Deebo and Kittle. Hard for him to jump up above that. So kind of what are the expectations for Brandon Aiyuk? And so far with reports from camp, do you believe that he's taking steps in the right stride, like in the right direction? And obviously we hope so. Right now, it sounds like, and again, everybody's going to point to, okay, Trey Lance, the struggles, et cetera, day 2, because, man, one of those struggles day 1. But, day 2, missed some passes. Again, I talked about there potentially being some context missing, right, with a downfield throw that, Trey Lance delivered perfect pass to Brandon Aiyuk, and then he gets it, he grabs it, he's bringing it down, then all of a sudden, boom, corner punches it out. Are there separation issues that maybe Aiyuk is facing? Is he having trouble beating the corners? Are the 49ers corners just that good, right? Emmanuel Mosley and Charvarius Ward, they're awesome. They're great, and that's why Aiyuk is having trouble really beating those guys. And, but he's beating up on Ambry Thomas, right? So it's clear that he's not trash, but can he beat the big dogs in the 49ers secondary? And I think that's something I want to see. I don't want to use the word critical. I have given my honest assessment of I'm getting all my names mixed up right now, but Brandon Aiyuk and what I was expecting from him. Like, what did I want to see from Brandon Aiyuk in his career? Like, what I expect. And originally watching him at Arizona State, he was somebody that, you see the twitch, you see the suddenness. He's turning defensive backs around. They're moving him around. He's playing outside, he's playing inside. The route running, terrific. Man, the vertical threat, awesome, right? And so far in the NFL, I've seen it but not with any real consistency. Now, have I not seen it with any real consistency because, the targets aren't there, right? Now, if he's getting 110 targets, is he just going to be a successful receiver in the league? If he gets 120 targets, right? So maybe is it the lack of targets? Why maybe we don't see it? Because I've seen it in spurts where whooping guys. I go back to the Chicago Bears game, 2-point conversion. He was like in the 3 spot, maybe at the 4 spot. They might have had quads to one side. And he just destroys. Whoever he was guarding destroyed him. Just whooped him, caught the ball in the end zone. Easy money. I've seen him destroy guys. Remember a touchdown, it might have been his rookie year against Seattle. I think they had, what was that corner, number 22, Williams or whatever, but just destroys him. Fade ball, easy, right? He just walks off the field, he just catches it, walks off the field. So I just want to, can he consistently be the guy that really kind of destroys guys? And there were some comps to Odell Beckham and that type of skill set from Brandon Aiyuk. And I think Odell just naturally a little bit more explosive, but Aiyuk has some of it too. Can he be more consistent with it? And I think that's something that I would love to see. I see our guy Jay Jacks right here, and he says 800 yards and practically half a season. I think 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns is something that he can do. That's right, yeah. Because obviously we know the lack of targets. He's on the field, but wasn't really running. I don't know. It was kind of weird, right? His usage the first half of the season, he was kind of in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse. The second half of the season, definitely utilized more. You see the targets go up. You see his production go up. So can he do that over a full season? That would definitely be something to see. I did have a super chat here. Top of the morning, bro. Let's see how Lance bounces back. No panic. He's practicing against arguably the best defense in the league with second string O-line. There's that too. And again, I talk about kind of some of the ups and downs or whatever of practice and how much of it can be like, hey, this offensive line, there is no Trent Williams out there right now. There is no Mike McGlinchey out there right now. Daniel Brunskill is playing center. Who are these guards? Who are those tackles that are out there right now? And for a quarterback who, you want to be able to drop back and kind of go through his reads and, comfortably complete passes, probably not going to happen with one starter from last year on that offensive line right now. So that's definitely something you would like to see, that him with the starting unit. But still, you got to be able to work through some of that. I know I was on with Grant Cohn yesterday. He told me that the 49ers were working some of this like play action pass type thing, and it was like you can either run or pull. And if you pull, it's a play action. And there were times where he said pretty much every time when Trey Lance went to pull for the play action, a defensive guy was standing right there. Boom, sack. So you'll hear the number like, oh, Trey Lance got sacked 5 times. He got sacked 5 times, mostly off of those play actions where it's okay, I'm here, I'm stretching, we're faking the run. It's a fake. I boot out and bloop. There's a defender right there. Tag, sack. And then Trey Lance would just, obviously they continue to play and you kind of just throw it and see what happens. But there was a lot of that. And again, I talked about some of the context that's missing with practice numbers and why I have kind of, I don't want to say an issue with people counting them, but there are things like that where people aren't taking into account. But yeah, he's going to be fine. I wouldn't be worried about any of it. Another day to grow for Lance. Adversity is good, my guy. Of course. There is one more thing that I want to get to before we get to everybody in the chat and I bring y'all on live. Again, shout out to everybody that's in here right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Over 300 of y'all. I appreciate that. We should have 300 likes. Let's go. Helps with the algorithms or something like that. But 49ers secondary, how good can they be? And right now, you're seeing reports that, man, it's the best defense I've seen. It was Barrows or Mayoko. It was one of those guys who said, this is one of the best 49ers defenses I've seen. Now, part of it is you do have a young quarterback back there. Another part of it is you do have this makeshift offensive line. There is no Deebo Samuel. So, maybe some of that has to do with it. But I guess maybe some people can identify, hey, this cornerback group, this safety group, this linebacker group, this D-line is good. And we expect that. That was a top 3 defense last year, right? I believe the 49ers finished 3rd in the NFL in defense. And that was with a lot of kind of journeyman type guys in the backfield or on the back end and everything like that. And they still finished one of the top defenses in the league. So if you improve on that, which most people feel like they have, right? You look at this defense right now and some of the additions that they made and guys being healthy and just flying around. Everybody good right now, right? Everybody in camp, everybody's healthy. Of course, this is one of the top defenses. Of course, the offense might see some struggles. This defense is stifling. We've seen what they do to people. How good can they be, though? And Richard Sherman had this to say on Twitter. He said, before this season is over, there will be a lot of chatter about the 49ers secondary being amongst the best in football. I'm going to repeat that last part. There will be chatter about 49ers secondary being amongst the best in football. Mark it down. Travarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley are a problem. Those are the corners on the outside. They got Richard Sherman's stamp of approval. Jimmy Ward has been playing at a Pro Bowl level for years. And look out for Talanoa Hufanga to shine. So clearly, Richard Sherman is very bullish on the 49ers secondary and what it can be. And one thing he didn't mention there is nickel, because who the hell is the nickel? We don't know right now. Again, I did have a 49er beat reporter on here, Tracy Sandler, and she thinks that there's a chance Samuel Womack might be the guy that starts for the 49ers as nickel. Of course, he's a rookie. But overall, how good can this unit be? And right now, it sounds like they're making it tough on receivers, which is great. Right? I remember day one, I saw the report from Grant Cohn say the starting corners, right? The receivers going against them could not create separation. Brandon Aiyuk, Juwan Jennings, whoever else was out there, couldn't do anything. And now the tough thing is if that continues, right? Like, who does that affect the most, right? It probably affects the quarterbacks. Trey Lance is struggling. Well, it's like, hell, my receivers are struggling to get open, right? And I'm not saying this all on them. I mean, the missed throws, everything, that type of stuff happens. But how good can this defense be? And if the cornerbacks are good, because here's the thing. Okay, the corners are good, whatever. Good linebackers, good D-line. 49ers really, they're good at every level. That's not what makes them great, though. That's not what makes the defense great. What really makes the defense great is the coaching staff. D'Amico Ryans and these guys. They understand these guys' strengths and weaknesses to a max. They put them in positions to where they can succeed and be successful, and you get the best results on the field. D'Amico Ryans and Kyle Shanahan do as good of a job of anyone in the league to make sure that they put their guys in positions to win. There is no doubt in my mind that the 49ers, the reason why they win as many games that they do when they have competent quarterback play is because of the coaching staff and their ability to put their players in winning positions. 49ers lose when the quarterback sucks. 49ers win when the quarterback is fairly decent. There were a lot of times where you're looking at like, man, Jimmy, and some of these games are closer than it should, but for that team last season to reach the NFC Championship game, coaching. And that's one of the things that I feel like when I look at this defense and why they are going to be one of the top units in the league this year, they're pretty, 49ers are loaded. This roster is really good. Kyle Shanahan alluded to that when talking about Trey Lance and telling fans, hey, be patient with him, got a good team around him. They know they got to pick him up. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be highs. There's going to be low, whatever. But we have a good enough team around Trey Lance to where we're going to pick him up, and this is going to be a great season. And he says that because of how loaded the roster is and their ability to put guys in winning positions. And they've done that consistently. Great coaching staff. So how good can this defense be, especially with these cornerbacks? I think they can be pretty damn good. I don't want to sound like a homer, but I look at the coaching staff, I look at the depth chart, and that defense they're going to be locked and loaded. I think the only thing that I'm kind of looking forward to seeing or how it works out is probably Javon Kinlaw. And can he at the very least be just this two-down guy right now, right? Like, you want to salvage, I don't want to say salvage the situation because that sounds like you're kind of done with it and just get what you can get. But coming off of injury, can he be healthy? Can he come in there? Can he be just excel at one thing, right? Just excel against the run. And then we'll, eventually, hopefully, by year 4 in the offseason, you pick up his 5th-year option. He's just better at being a pass rusher. You develop that part of his game, and then all of a sudden, hey, he is who we drafted him to be. But right now, can he just be, at the very least, be DJ Jones, who's a terrific two-down defensive lineman? Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Click the notification bell so you get notified when we go live. We got over 330 people in here right now. Now's the time, man. Y'all know I want y'all to come on live, and we're going to talk about it. This is your time, your platform to be able to come on and give your thoughts on anything that's going on. If you have questions, if you want clarity, whatever it is, I'm here for you. Here we go. Zachary Couch. One of the most underrated things is our coaches. I love how diverse we are to getting extra picks for minority coaches. That is pretty good, right? It's a bonus. One, it's a bonus because, I get 3rd-round pick because this guy is black. I mean, crazy thing is I didn't even know Mike McDaniel was black. But then after you really look at him, I'm like, is this logic, right? Look, I like logic. So, but yeah, that was something that was, it's cool. And I don't think that they do that initially. Kyle Shanahan comes off as someone who just wants who's the best person for the job. And if it happens to be Robert Saleh, who is a linebacker coach in Jacksonville, so be it. If it happens to be Mike McDaniel, who ends up being a minority, and that's his buddy, so be it. If it happens to be DeMeco Ryans, and obviously we saw his ability to coach last season, so be it. So I don't even think it's like, you know what, let's promote this black guy to coordinator. Like, nah, he just promotes who he feels is best for the job. And I think one thing that I've noticed with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they have a really good eye for identifying talent, not just on the field, but in the coaching staff, for the coaching staff as well. Here we go. I got my guy TG 49er coming on. Good morning. How you doing?
How you doing? Good morning, Crock. Yeah, man. I heard you talking about Cowherd, man. Cowherd's a guy, man, that he just want to be right. You know, I remember somebody said, you know, you want to get it right, you know, not trying to be right all the time. And, you know, he has his stance about they shouldn't have got rid of Jimmy G and all this stuff. So anything he can find negative, he's going to pounce on it. But, you know, like I said,
did you see what, because Nick Wright was on with him. Did you see what Nick Wright had to say about when they went kind of? You
know, I didn't see it live. I saw the Twitter thing. I saw it on Twitter, and I said, you know what? That's one of the guys. There's a couple guys I got receipts. I'm gonna hold on to, like Ocho. I think.
The one Ocho. Yeah.
Yeah, man, he went hard. I'm like, okay. I mean, my thing. We got a bunch of fellas that we chime in on sports or whatever, and my thing is, you can't say Trey's gonna be a bust, and you can't say he's gonna be great. It's a wait and see type thing. I saw Bucky Brooks said. Matter of fact, Bucky Brooks was on Cowherd, and Cowherd was giving his spiel, and Bucky Brooks said, basically got to give him 30 games to see what he's going to be. And I've always said, no matter who the quarterback that we drafted, because of the setup of the team and the talent around it, I think most of the guys would succeed in that situation anyway. Right. That's how I always felt.
Yeah, not for real, and it's crazy, man. I haven't seen anything like it where people will just kind of rush to judgment on a player, but then give everyone else, the benefit of doubt, even after seeing them play and not be very good.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, Trey Lance gets 2 games. One game wasn't that great. The other game, it was pretty damn good. I thought it was pretty good. And these other quarterbacks, we saw like 3 of them throw more interceptions than touchdowns and struggle and complete less than 60% of their passes. And have terrible games, and it's like, oh no, but and all it has to do with what they thought of the people or those players pre-draft. And
it's the narrative. It's the narrative they want to stick to. That's basically like you talk about Matt Jones, his last games, and then how he played in the playoffs was terrible. But you don't hear about that much, and not and I always be the one. I don't want to shit on Matt Jones. I think he's a good quarterback. I thought he would do well with us. I just thought Trey's ceiling was much higher,
Right, and again, I think it is like people are going to take what they want from anything. So, I mean, look at it, the Mac Jones situation. And I use Mac Jones just because I know a lot of people liked him, but not like you. It's like not to bash him. I try to make it clear. I really like Mac Jones as a quarterback. But they're going to pull the stats and the things that they like from what he did as a rookie and like, oh, this is why they should, and not bring up any of the struggles that he had. There were struggles, and they're doing the same thing with Trey Lance. They'll bring up Arizona and then not bring up how, hey, this guy was better against Houston. And there are a lot of good things. Or look at the practice. They'll bring up yesterday's practice where, he could have been better in practice, but not bring up the first day where he was completing 9 out of his 11 passes. So people they're going to take what they want to drive and create this narrative. And it's tough sometimes when you have people like Colin Cowherd who continually talk about this over and over and over. And I've seen it like, okay, if you got one segment on it and you're like, okay, I want to see, but it's literally almost been like feels like an everyday occurrence with Colin Cowherd, and almost kind of irresponsible a little bit of reporting, but maybe that's how they do it.
And that's him, like you said, he just want to be right all the time instead of, like I said, getting it right. And like I said, it's a wait and see attitude is how I feel about it. I mean, and then like you say, and we talk about practice. We all know Jimmy G wasn't a great practice player,
right?
So I mean, sometimes it's just I know everybody's going to be on every stat line of Trey and want to see what he does each day. But we just got to be patient. We just got to be
Yeah.
patient.
Yeah. Well, all right,
All
TG.
right.
Appreciate you coming on,
Appreciate
man.
it. All right. Take care, Crock.
All right. Here we go. Got a contribution from my guy CJ. Says, Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. And CJ, is this you right here with the contribution?
No, that's a negative.
Oh, he's like, nah, I ain't give your ass $20. Good morning. How you doing, bro?
It's not. I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying.
Nah, you're good. I just didn't know if there was like a coincidence or just a coincidence. But what's on your mind?
Just the national media and stuff like that throughout the off season, talking about how low they ranked our team, how they disrespecting that, how they disrespected Trey Lance, our starting quarterback. And then it's kind of funny that once he was named a starter, you see some of the couple of the national medias would have come out there, stand out, say, "Oh, I think Trey is going to be great," and all that stuff. But the same people was talking about, "Nah, I think they should keep Jimmy G," and stuff like that,
Right.
contradicting themselves. And so when you get to this stuff with people want to just pull things out and support their own narrative and stuff like that, and they say, "Oh, he had a bad practice. See, I told you," and I'm like, we got to see the whole picture. Like, Jimmy wasn't a great practice player. And also, too, we've done seen 50 games of Jimmy. We know what Jimmy does. We know what he is. We know what he's not. We know him inside and out. And so they really got to give this young guy a chance to put up a body of work so we can really see what he can do. We know at the minimum that he has at least the athletic ability and the talent to be able to escape the rush, extend plays, and then be able to throw it down the field. We know that he at least has these prerequisite skill sets available to his disposal. So all you got, and that he likes to work hard. He even stayed after practice with Danny Gray to work on some stuff after everybody left. So that's a leader right there. Kyler Murray been in the league over 3 years, and the way they structure his contract, it don't seem like he's about that. So,
right.
And so I think people need to kind of lay off on Trey a little bit and let him put up a body of work and show everybody what he can do. And then we got this top defense. I mean, Ward and Mosley, they clamping dudes. So I mean, where is he supposed to throw the football?
Yeah.
I mean, and then also too, we got McKivicks and I think Jaylen Brown was out there at tackle yesterday against our number ones on the ends. Got Bosa and stuff out there. I mean, and the backups are on the offensive line, and there's no pads. So, I just encourage people to have some perspective of what they're actually seeing.
Right. And we got my guy Tony Meredith here, and he says, I lived in Buffalo when Josh Allen was a rookie and he was trash. And I think a lot of people remember that. But I'm going to get to the next caller, man. I appreciate you coming on, CJ.
All right.
Here we go. One thing I did want to say real quick, and as it pertains to, again, what people kind of want to report, what they want to see, and talking about those things. I remember Dak Prescott. I believe Dak Prescott won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he was terrific. Looking at his stat line, he completed almost 68% of his passes as a rookie, 23 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. That's not including anything. 23 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. That's not including anything he had on the ground, right? Threw for over 3,600 yards. That's Dak Prescott as a rookie. Terrific season. And then the next year, they went from 13-3, which really they could have been 14-2, but they didn't play their starters. They took Dak Prescott out after the first drive in that Eagles game. I remember it. They took Dak Prescott out. They took Ezekiel Elliott out. They took all those guys out after that first drive. He actually put Tony Romo in. They ended up losing that game. But they had already had everything kind of locked up. So anyways, he essentially went 13-2 as a rookie. All right, ball. The next year, 9-7. he actually threw more passes and completed less passes. He was a 62% passer, 3,300 yards. So his numbers dropped off there. He threw one less touchdown and 9 more interceptions. His passer rating dropped tremendously. And I say all that to say, like, there's just a learning process in terms of becoming like that guy, becoming that quarterback. Even when you think you have some level of success, there are things that are going to kind of humble you and take you back to the drawing board. And we saw that with Dak Prescott. Now he went from that to a few years later, 2019, throwing for almost 5,000 yards. 30 touchdowns. Last year, throwing for 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, right? So there is this, and even then, the passer that Dak Prescott has been as of late was not the same passer that he was in the first few years. He was someone still figuring it out, still becoming like that pure passer, still not having to depend and lean on the run game. So when people talk about patience, and again, you don't want to have to wait 4 years for someone to develop into the type of quarterback that Dak Prescott kind of is now, which I think he's a really good quarterback. But there's a process. There's a process with this. And for some reason, it kind of gets skipped over. And maybe because of guys like Justin Herbert and kind of what he's done right away, even Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, even Lamar Jackson, those guys going to Super Bowls in their second year, right? Literally their second year. Lamar didn't go to Super Bowl, but Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes went to AFC Championship game. He was D4 offsides away from actually being in the big game. But who still can't win a playoff game? We must be talking about Dak Prescott. Yeah, I know, and that's tough. You know why he didn't win a playoff game? He has won a playoff game. Well, first, Dak has won a playoff game. They beat the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson. So he has won one. But the other times, he went toe-to-toe as a rookie with Aaron Rodgers. Like, when we're looking back on that game, it was they had a first-round bye, so it was a divisional round game. Had to play against Aaron Rodgers. They went to Jerry's World. He played it. I thought he played very well. And, Aaron Rodgers was just Aaron Rodgers at the end of that game. Aaron Rodgers played very well at the end of that game. But last year, DeMeco Ryans, 49ers ran into some big dogs. You feel me? All right, here we go. Speaking of big dogs, got a couple guys I'm bringing on now. All right, we got Dion and Gammon. Hold on, bring them up like this. I'll bring up three guys. I got a few guys waiting to talk. So here we go. We got Dion, Gammon, and Chris Roscoe's. What's good, y'all? Good morning. How's everybody doing?
All right.
Good.
How's it going, guys?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
All right, so we kind of got a panel going here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Dion kind of set the stage for the topic, and then Roscoe's and Gammon, you guys kind of, if there's anything that y'all want to say just in response, or, whatever it is, you have a different perspective or the same perspective, same thoughts. I'd love to hear. So, Dion, the floor is yours.
Good morning to everybody. We're hanging out with Chris in the spaces yesterday. You know what I'm saying? He always running the spaces. Good job with that. Gammon, good morning to you, brother. For me, honestly, I just can't wait for the pads to be on and for us to have our full starting offensive line. That's why I'm kind of taking everything that happens with Lance right now as a grain of salt. We're running with a makeshift line. There are no pads. So there's no panic in me from what I hear. The ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of training camp are good. I want him to face a little adversity here and there so that way he understands how to overcome it. It was good to see him get out of the pocket and make a play with his legs because we know that's an option that he has. So I honestly am just waiting for the real offensive line to get there. Once again, I do think it's going to be Trent, Aaron, Jake, Daniel at the right guard spot, and McGlinchey provided healthy at the right tackle. I know they've had Jalen Moore playing there, and they had Burford doing the right guard duties. And they've been trying to see how Brunskill looks as the center, but I would prefer them just to stick with Jake Brendel and stop playing with the center position. Brunskill wasn't good in 2020. He ain't going to be good now.
Yep. Crock, I was seeing your Bleacher Report thing, and then hearing you kind of talk about that, and I kind of deal with anxiety and stuff like that. So I'm just over here like, if Crock can do it, so can I, kind of thing. And and I was just telling myself, all I have to do is just not say anything crazy or outlandish, and then chat won't come after me. But we just got to face reality, guys. It's not the offensive line. Okay, I'm sorry, Dion, but it's Trey Lance's second non-padded practice. Lance is pure buns. All right, we should have drafted McCorkle Jones. We just completely missed the bus on that one, guys. It's just over. It's just over. Mailed in. Season's over. And that's really like the big thing is at least all of us here right now in this chat, we're all diehards. We're not just here during the regular season or when things are good during the postseason. Like we're here during the slow parts of the off season. So I'm really excited, guys. Like when after the first game of the season, I tell you what, if we win, I'm coming on here, Croc. I'm going to be crazy, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to be, oh gosh, I got to go.
All right. He had to get up out of here. But go ahead, Chris.
I just came on because I seen somebody in the comments was like, they making excuses already. And I'm like, what excuses? It's day 2. What excuses are we making? I mean, like, what are we talking about here? Like, excuses? For Trey Lance is not even didn't even start a full 2 years. But I want to know what excuses. But people that say stuff like that, they never come. Shout out to Gammon. And, he talked about how people would try to come for him in the chat and stuff. Shout out to but like those same people would never come up and speak though. Like they'll never come up and stand on what they say. So at least you have, hopefully he'll be able to hear this, but at least you have enough kahunas to come up here and stand on your word. Unlike a lot of these people in the chat who say a lot of things about Trey Lance, but they'll never, ever come up here. I remember, Croc, many times you gave people an opportunity to come up here. I remember I was up here, wanted to debate somebody, never showed up. They never like to show up. They barely like to even come into our spaces and speak. But, I mean...
And I think real quick, because spaces can get a little hostile, this here, at least on the show, like when they're live on with me, it doesn't get hostile one way or the other. I just want to hear like the perspective and have a conversation about it. And
but they
even
won't
then, and for somebody like me who, I'm not someone telling everybody that Trey Lance is going to be this great quarterback and the 49ers going to win the Super Bowl with him. I don't know what he's going to do. I just try to view it from the standpoint of, hey, let's see how this guy's game develops. I know what he potentially can be. What steps is he taking to, potentially get there? What things does he have to go through along the way? And, is he getting better from week to week, game to game, right? Like I see someone in the chat right now, and he's like, oh, week 1, the gloves are off. Week 1 is week 1. If we judge Jimmy Garoppolo off of week 1 every year, we think he's the worst quarterback ever, right? Like, week 1 is week 1. I don't care about. My thing is, all right, and I do this with everybody. This is not a Trey Lance thing. This is a Trey thing. This is a Zach thing. This is a Justin Fields thing. Like, if I would judge Justin Fields off of his first action against the who they played, the Cleveland Browns, and he got sacked 9 times. Justin Fields got sacked 9 times in his first start. And not just that, he netted 1 passing yard for an entire game. 1! If you look at the stat sheet right now and you look at how many passing yards the Chicago Bears had against the Cleveland Browns last year, they had 1 passing yard. Okay. All right, okay. Clearly, how do you bounce back? And it's so wild. Like, that. I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to be great. I like Justin Fields pre-draft. I'm not saying that. I just want to see how does he bounce back. What is he going to become? Because I feel like you got to go through a lot of that. And again, if you look at Josh Allen, or really any quarterback for the most part, Deshaun Watson. Do people really remember like Deshaun Watson's first game against I want to say it was like against the Bengals? It was not great. He made the play with his leg, but throwing the ball wasn't great. It was like a couple games in, then all of a sudden something clicks, and then he just started going crazy, right? Bombs away, whatever. But it took a few games to even get to that, to where now all of a sudden it's bombs away. But I don't know. Everybody just so, and it's like, I don't know, name calling, but go ahead. My bad, Chris. It just, to me, it's just kind of weird because maybe I just view football just a different way. In
Well, the perfect example to use is 2018. You know what 2018 was? It was the year Patrick Mahomes threw 50 touchdowns. But you know what happened during training camp? Several articles came out.
I
How
just got
Patrick
tagged in
Mahomes,
one. Hold on, let's see it. Right here.
he threw too many interceptions.
Someone, so U Stadium posted this. This is August 2nd, 2018. Patrick Mahomes threw 7 interceptions in the first 6 training camp practices. Does this worry you or just part of camp? This is a post from 2018 August.
Yeah, it was one before that too, and it's saying is Mahomes' interceptions concerning? Does it make you worry? This was when he was about to take over. So, and I'm not saying Trey Lance would be Patrick Mahomes, but like people got to understand, it's training camp. This is where you make your mistakes. This is what we want. But again, if you're accepting Trey Lance, you have to accept that there's gonna be these days. There's gonna be days where he's going to struggle. If people are not willing to allow him to struggle, then please don't watch, and please don't be a fan.
Well, let me respond to Coach real quick, and I think this is a great point. He says what's going to be hard is fans and media judging Trey in a vacuum. You can't compare him to any other rookies. They never had the opportunity to sit and have this roster. Trey's 101 as it pertains to his rookie class. So my question for this, and that's a great point. That is a great point. My question is, because he has this roster and he was able to sit a year, let's say the 49ers are still winning games. Let's say the 49ers they go 10-7 or even 11-6 or something like that, right? And Trey has ups and downs. Will it still be considered like, oh, he shouldn't have any ups and downs because he got to sit a year and he has a good roster? Or is it, hey, because they have a good roster and he was able to sit a year, they were still able to win games, even if Trey wasn't necessarily the reason they were able to accumulate as many wins as they did? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, do y'all have like anything on that, or how, like, is there something? I guess it would be, when you have a good team, what are the expectations for a guy who still has limited playing experience, but has these expectations to live up to because of the roster and everything else he has going on?
I'm going to say
It's Russell Wilson. Oh, sorry, Dion. Go ahead.
Oh, no, brother. Go ahead. I'll make one point after you make yours. All good.
It's Russell Wilson. That's the expectations. Oh, or let me say his ceiling can be. Remember, Russell Wilson's first year, he threw 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, ran for like 300 yards, and the Seahawks went to the playoffs. When you have a quarterback with a good roster, I don't. Matter of fact, 2019, right? Crock, 2019. Do you remember in 2019? Do you remember the first like 8 games?
Yeah, for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo was barely passing for 200 yards a game.
Right.
Defense and run game. That's all you got to do is the defense and the run game is going to carry Trey Lance. We don't need Trey Lance to be this all spectacular player because, I mean, we really didn't need Jimmy Garoppolo to be this all-time spectacular player. I mean, the guy was a turnover machine. We just need Trey Lance to take care of the football, make some plays. Like you said, though, the biggest thing, he's got to win on third downs. Other than that, let the run game and this defense that I truly feel is going to be special carry you. Like Shanahan said, I feel like this is my deepest roster I've ever had. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and for me, I echo Chris's sentiments. It's very simple. Shanahan basically said in the presser that he was going to do the same thing for Trey that he did for Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? Basically where he protected him. You know, for everybody out there that's thinking that Garoppolo came in and because we had a 5-game win streak with the guy that everything was great, he didn't even throw a touchdown in his first game. First game he played with us, we won that game off of Robbie Gould's leg. So the thing is that he has things around him that are great, and it just makes his life that much easier because he doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. Oh, well, he's got to come in and be perfect. He's got to be great right off the bat. No, he doesn't, because he has people around him that will continue to help carry the team along with him. He doesn't have to shoulder the load by himself. He's, we got a new O-line to an extent. So we're, on the interior anyway. So we're going to, hope that those guys gel properly. When it comes to the receivers, we already know what we have in those guys, and we got a couple of new additions that hopefully are going to make us look even better. When it comes to the run game, we already know what this run game is. We're always at least in the top 10 or top 5, pretty much mostly since Shanahan has been here. And then when it comes to the defense, it's stellar. Look at what's going on in practice without pads. So if you're telling me that Charvarius Ward is this great without pads, when he gets pads on, I think it's going to be even more of a problem for the wide receivers because they're going to have to work harder. So I don't see why people wouldn't give Trey Lance just the benefit of the doubt, knowing what he has around him and knowing that, they're basically saying, hey, look, man, you don't have to do every single thing. Just get enough things right to be able to help us win these games. And then last year, what happened? Jimmy with his phantom injury, Trey comes in, has a fantastic game. Cleaned up. We didn't win, but he had a great game. Honestly, I'm going to stick to what I said. I was at that Cardinals game that looked like a college-style offense. I do not think that was the best game plan to go with. And then in Houston, it was very simple. You watched his progression almost as you watched Ambry Thomas's progression to an extent. The first half, Trey Lance didn't look very good against Houston. But the second half, he just picked it up. It's like Ambry Thomas. First game, he was just getting broke off. Second game, it dwindled a little bit. Third game, you started to see an upward swing. And then continually, that's just how it works. So with everything around him, I feel like he's solid. I don't think he has anything to worry about.
All right. Well, I'm going to get y'all off of here, and I got some more people waiting to come on. So appreciate y'all coming on.
Thanks, Crock.
Thanks, Crock.
All right. Shout out to my guys. Here we go. Got a super chat here. Lawrence was 6 for 16 yesterday. Mac Jones 1 for 7. I don't know about Lawrence, but I know Mac Jones was not. He wasn't 1 for 7 overall. That might have been him in the red zone because I know they struggled big time in the red zone yesterday, the Patriots offense. And at one point, they were like 0 for 11. And then Mac Jones completed one pass at the end to Hunter Henry. So I think Mac Jones was 1 for 7 in the red zone, but not like overall throughout his day. All right, but I appreciate the contribution. There was one thing that I had touched on with Deshaun Watson. And somebody was like, nah, Deshaun Watson, his first game was actually pretty good. So Deshaun Watson came in a game against Jacksonville Jaguars. And I want to say he came in like maybe halfway through the game. He completed 12 passes on 23 attempts for 102 yards. And that's like 52% completion percentage. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And then I was kind of referring to his first start. So his first start was that next week against the Cincinnati Bengals, which they won 13-9. Deshaun Watson completed 15 out of 24 passes for 125 yards. 0 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions, but he also had 67 rushing yards and a touchdown. And that one touchdown run was 49 yards, which I was alluding to. So it's not a great game, right? Like 125 yards, 62% of his passes, no touchdowns, no picks, whatever. But after that, he started kind of taking off. Still turning the ball over, because if you look at Deshaun Watson's first 4 games, he threw 4 interceptions. But you see the efficiency getting better, completion percentage, etc. That's they're starting to get better. And then he plays against Kansas City Chiefs, which is a weird game. He completed 50% of his passes for 260 yards, but threw 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. So he started kind of going crazy with the touchdowns. Threw a decent amount of interceptions, but you could see him progressively kind of get better, especially after the first 2 times he was out there. So, there were kind of just some, I guess, learning curve, like that guys just kind of have to go through. All right, here we go. I'm bringing the next guy up, and here we go. I got my guy Harv. He been on waiting for a minute. Good morning, man. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good about yourself, Crock.
Oh man, chilling. I'm chilling.
All right, so I had a question because I'm not really going to concentrate on Trey because I really do think he's going to be more or less like a second year Deshaun. But my question is like a lot of the national media and pundits believe that the Niners are going to be more so of just purely run based. And so I looked it up because I was when the Niners weren't doing too good, I was more so of a Falcons fan at that point, kind of cheering for them because Julio was my favorite player. And that Falcons offense wasn't really run based. You know what I mean? They would actually use the run to set up play action. But I wrote it down in 2015, they were 7th in rushing and 6th in passing. And in 2016, they were 5th in rushing and 3rd in passing. So my question is, do you believe that Trey will actually be able to open up the offense enough to whereas Kyle doesn't really have to use the run as much or go underneath as much because he opened up the field more with Trey?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there are certain elements which you will. I think the biggest thing that Trey like brings right now is the ability to kind of attack the field in certain areas and kind of maybe help keep guys out of the box. Right now, the one thing we will see throughout the year is teams start to kind of adjust to what Trey Lance does well. So if teams are like, he's not as comfortable throwing over the middle with timing, so you know what? We're going to take away outside and force him to make inside throws and then see if he can improve from there. And so there are, like they did with like Jimmy G, right? Like Jimmy G, it was very clear, hey, man, he's not as great on the outsides or throwing down the field. So we're going to condense everything and make everything have to be great with timing and rhythm, and we're going to bring our safeties down, which in turn made it a little harder to run the ball. And we saw that in the playoffs where the running back didn't have a whole lot of success outside of like Deebo Samuel really carrying it because the box was so crowded, right? And I think there will be something with Trey Lance where even if he does threaten the field in different areas or different ways, I think it kind of, at least early on for Trey, will kind of balance out with some of the limitations still in the offense. I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And also to the point of Trey struggling in practice yesterday, I kind of don't listen to it more or less because I think in Kyle's introductory press conference for the beginning of training camp, he mentioned that he's going to be trying to figure out what Trey does well. So there might be days in practice where he's calling plays just to kind of see Trey do it. You know what I mean? Right. He's not really scheming up plays to beat the defense, more so as he's scheming up plays to try to figure out what Trey can do well and what he can't.
Right. Yep. No, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for the time, man. That's all I got.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir.
All right, shout out to my guy Harv. Here we go. Got some contributions here. Crock, the GOAT. Appreciate it. Why do some 49er fans root against him? I think anybody that roots against Trey Lance, There's two reasons. One, how people felt pre-draft about maybe who the 49ers should have taken. So then they root against the current quarterback. It could have been Trey Lance. It could have been goddamn anybody, right? But I feel like if 49ers would have drafted Mac Jones, there would be probably a certain section of the fan base that root against Mac Jones. I think it's hella weird. But that's what you probably would have seen, right? So I think part of it is just, wanting their guy and then not getting their guy, and then, looking for that confirmation bias type thing. I told you so. And I think that's weird. So I think that's why you see fans root against them. That was with a veteran QB, Matt Ryan, talking about Julio Jones and that offense right there. I missed some of my guy coach's comments here. I'm not sure if he's talking to me or... But I see like this one right here, and he says, if Trey's running out of the pocket and scrambling too much, there are some fans that will say, well, we never had the element with Jimmy G at all. See my point? Jimmy's gone, Trey's here, it's over. Yeah. Deshaun, we got Deshaun here. He says, for the people capable for Jimmy Garoppolo, remember Tim Tebow was a winner too, but he won matter. And the Broncos understand they need to upgrade their position. Just give the kid the time. Yeah, Tim Tebow. It was Tebow time. I'd say it looked different. It looked different the way Tebow won. Like if you're saying Tebow, Jimmy G, it definitely looked different with how they came to getting those wins. But in the sense of the circumstances of how they did, I agree, right? Like there were games where Tebow wouldn't be good, and then all of a sudden, last seconds, all right, it's Tebow time, and then he like willed them to a victory. And I would say there's a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo in that, where I think Jimmy, as obviously nobody's going to compare them as passers. Jimmy Garoppolo clearly the much better passer than Tim Tebow, but Jimmy has his weird moments, and he does things that keep the game close. And then he keeps it close, but then he gets to be the hero at the end of the game, which I mean, a win is a win, right? But I think in the sense of, and this is just me going over what you're saying here, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I appreciate the contribution. All right, here we go. We got Swanee D.
Good morning, Crock. How's it going?
Good morning. Good morning. Is that candlestick behind you?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's where you had a lot of your success, huh?
Yep. So, it's Trey struggled yesterday, and but you want to see these things. I think if you were a coach, right, as you're coaching your kid, or whether you're coaching kids in a little league team, you see different types of kids that come up, right? You see kids that are real cautious, right? And then they do things, they're afraid to mess up, they're afraid to do those things. And then you have the kid that is kind of like the perfect coachable kid, where you tell him what he needs to do and he goes as far as he can, right? And of course you got to taper that too, right? You don't want that, like, the kid to just try everything and then, like, he's too loose on it, right? But that perfect kid that you want to coach is that kid that's going to, trust you and say, yeah, go, I'm going to go for it, whether if I make a mistake or not make a mistake. I'm not saying that's Trey Lance. We don't know if that's Trey Lance or not. If I had to guess, Trey's probably more on the cautious side, because we've heard that, right? We heard that in practice from Fred Warner saying, hey, dude, don't worry about it. Don't try to be perfect. Just go out. It's practice. See what you can get away with, and you go from there, because that's how you're going to get reps with. We all know that Trey's going through all these mechanical changes. He's constantly learning the offense, right? So there's going to be inconsistencies there, right? Because just like if you're trying to try anything new mechanically in whatever you do, whether it's sports or work or video games, there's always going to be that, what you need to change. You see what's wrong with your game, and you need to make that change. And it's not going to look that great. It might look good sometimes, but it might not look that good another time, right? I think you could tell, I think from last year, even Trey is like, he's doing all the things mentally right, but he might not be on time. I mean, playing quarterback is crazy. Your margin of error is so small. Like, we're talking about, like, hey, if you hold the ball for 3 seconds, or if you hold the ball for 4 seconds, that's a huge deal, right? Like, the margin of error is like 1 second. So it's like, and if you're going through all of these changes mechanically, it's not going to be all there. Like, what the Japanese said, I think it's like, 10,000 hours in doing something before you become a master, right? Or whatever it is, like, he needs to go through all this. And I'd rather see him make mistakes trying to do things than to be the guy that's like all reserved, that kid that's all reserved and doesn't want to make a mistake, and all he's doing is going to throw 5-yard, checkdowns, right? So it's like, and I also think I thought it was interesting what you said about, how defensives, started, having the tape on, or having the book on Jimmy G, right? Cover the middle, right? And what's also interesting is that by defenses also cheating up and covering the middle, they also helped, against defending the 49ers run game, right? So it was like two things poured into one. Like they did one thing and they got two things out of it, right? They helps with against the run, and then helps, against Jimmy G. Where, let's say what you're saying is this Trey's better outside the numbers, right? I think that was the case in college as well. Like he was more successful outside the numbers. And if teams have to, take that away, right? Then that means that leaves the middle open a bit, right? And then you add in the element that he can run as well. So it's just more dimensions of what Trey can do. I also think that it's like we were talking about fans. Man, fans are hella weird. Like, I see a fan. There's like three parts
real
of a
quick,
fan.
ADD, real quick. Coach agrees with you. He says this is an amazing analogy by Swami D. He said, I agree. Biggest difference I see between what we are getting from Trey Lance versus Jimmy Garoppolo is exactly your point. He says Jimmy can take us as far as Kyle coached him. And I think that was something that we could see, right? Like, when Kyle dials up something and Jimmy's able to execute, it looks pretty and great. But what happens when maybe Kyle calls a bad play, or when, a certain area of the offense isn't clicking, is Jimmy Garoppolo still as effective? And I think that's kind of what you're hoping. Again, we have no idea. We do believe, and like Coach says, Trey can take what Kyle gives him and turn it into his own game. And, you would hope that also means being able to make your coach right, even when maybe something wasn't quite there. And we don't know if he's going to be able to do something like that consistently. But I definitely think that's a great point. Appreciate the contribution, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, you have Kyle, right? He's a creative mind. We all know this, right? He's good at what he does. Now, would you want to give him a let's just say it's a toolbox? You want to give him a toolbox with 2 tools, or you want to give him a toolbox with 5 tools? What he's going to be more creative with the 5 tools, right? Even though he can get it done with the 2 tools, because a dude's a master. You met cats like that. You give them anything, they'll make it work, right? But if you give them more, then it's like, well, okay, let's see what happens. But
Right.
I wanted to bring up with fans is like I think fans have 3 sides in them, right? There's like the real side, right, where you're analyzing, you're getting inputs from analysts and this and that, and then there's the hopeful side, right? There's like the side that you're always going to hope. Like, even, dude, as much as I dogged on Jimmy G, whenever he hit the field, I was his fan. Like, I wanted him to do well, never wanted him to do bad. Sure, when it didn't happen that way, then I would rail on him, right? I mean, that's sports, right? I mean, that's my immaturity, right? And then there's the fan that has fear, right? And I think some fans let the fear part of their fanhood take over their hope side of their fanhood, right? And then there's just trolls, straight up trolls. And I think a lot of what you see on Twitter is just guys trying to needle each other, trying to be right. It's like the 5th grade, man. Like, there's like all these guys that keep on talking crap and people giving them attention. Like, I think they love it. I think those guys love it.
I stop. Sometimes I see it every blue moon. I might say something, but I see it all the time. And like from certain people, and I mean, if you on Twitter, like you know who the guys are. And I try not to mention them by name because I don't want to give them any more attention. But I see it all the time. There's one person, and I'm so confused with how he does it. And I actually want to know, like, man, how you do this? But I'm just not going to give him that attention. But anytime someone says anything positive about Trey Lance, he don't even be following the people. But you can scroll and you'll see him in the comments. Every single time, never fails. And it's really wild. But there are people like that. Real quick, Eddie D, someone had a question for you. Says, tell us how you really feel about Jed York.
Jed is a good kid. He was there. He's 10, 11 years old. He got to watch all the 49ers. But, I'm just going to say this. I have daughters. And, if it wasn't for my daughters not hating football and pursuing their own things, I don't know. Maybe if I had a son, it would have, the team could have been given to him. But, Jed means well. He means a lot more. At least it's not my brother-in-law, because we all know that he's a penny pincher of penny pinchers. And, Jed still has some of that. But, Jed was here. Jed was here for those championships. So there's some of that as well. So, the verdict's still out on Jed, but, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
All right. I appreciate that, Eddie D. I'll probably see you on here on Monday.
Thank you, Crocker. Always a pleasure.
All right. You have a good one. That's funny. That's funny, man. All right. Here we go. Got a super chat here from my guy, Brian J. Says people The people waiting to criticize Trey out of revenge for Jimmy are weird. The fan base didn't start criticizing Jimmy until the 2020 season. We gave him time. Trey deserves our full support next season. I think that's a great part about it, right? And this, I mean, at the end of the day, these dudes they're grown men. They are adults. They're professionals. They get paid to do something. They get paid really good money to do it. So, it's like whatever. You got to deal with some of this stuff. But it is, to me, it is a little weird that, again, I actually remember with Jimmy Garoppolo, I felt like the pushback was more so from the media than the fans. He wasn't always great. And I had everybody around me telling me, like my boys that are fans of different teams, they're like, hey, this dude, like, he is not it, right? And you're like, nah, like, give it time, man. Like, you're going to see he's going to be awesome and, et cetera. But, obviously, like, he kind of ended up being just like what he is, but he definitely did have time. And the conclusion that I came to on Jimmy Garoppolo, part of it was obviously like the injuries. Another part of it was I think we are starting to truly see exactly what he is. And it was after some years. I think this is it, right? Perfect example, the whole Tom Brady thing and the 49ers talking about potentially getting him. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. Jimmy Garoppolo just came off of a Super Bowl appearance. That was his first full season in the offense. He had the ACL injury before that. Like, give him time. I think there's going to be a better version of Jimmy G down the line. I'd say the bigger issue there was we just never saw a better version of Jimmy G. But even then, it was like, hold on. And we saw a lot of weird shit with Jimmy G throughout that time. And it still was like, hold on. And I guess that's why I try to do on this show, like, Trey Lance, he could be great, he could be ass, he could be whatever, but can I wait a little bit of time to truly see that? And I'm going to evaluate him week by week and see where he's at and things that he needs to improve on, just like I did Jimmy Garoppolo. So I agree, big dog. But that's going to do it for this show. All right, I appreciate everybody that's tuned in right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll be out there next week at the practices. I don't think I'll have credentials. I don't know. My guy Brian Peacock, Locked on 49ers, 5 days a week coming at you. We did put in the credential request, so we'll see if that whole thing goes through. But if not, I know next Friday and Saturday, I'll be at those practices. Friday, I think I'll probably be with my best friend, Angry Donald, tattoos on his face. Saturday, I'll be with Brian Peacock. So I think I'll have an extra ticket or something on Friday. So if somebody's free and they want to go to the 49ers practice, hit me up. I think I have an extra ticket. But shoot, I'll even pick you up. I'm pretty sure I'll be in a rental car out there in California. But appreciate everybody that tuned in. Love all y'all. Love the perspective. Love the conversation. I think this is the best show. Maybe I'm being biased because it's the morning show. It's me. But I think this is the best show for unbiased opinions. I try to keep my fandom of the team and players out of it and just give y'all analysis and then the conversation that we're all able to have on this platform, man. I think it's awesome. So shout out to y'all. Everybody says great show, but y'all create the great show, man. Y'all make this show what it is. I appreciate all y'all. We'll see if I can get on here maybe tomorrow, maybe get an evening show, whatever. Maybe we'll go live this weekend. Maybe we'll go live for training camp recaps. All right, we'll talk about all that and more right here. Keep it locked. Subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff, whatever they say, supposed to say. All right, I'm out. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crock Talk TV podcast.